had all these clients at once, like coming to my LinkedIn, going to my Facebook, calling my cell phone, calling our work phone. It was like so many people reached out at one time that I could barely keep up.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to be fine. My community is showing up for me.
My community did. They rallied. It's like some of those moments that feel like they're the worst thing that could ever happen to you turn out to be the best thing.
Sometimes in life, we don't get to casually consider change. Sometimes, instead, we hit a wall and we realize this is just not working for us anymore. That's largely what happened to our guest, Lauren Williams. After a decade at a large RIA, managing $300 million in AUM and many clients that she adored, the firm changed, and so did she. The culture had shifted, burnout had crept in, and eventually staying felt like not even an option. Now we are about 18 months later. She's co-founded her new firm, reignited her purpose, and brought her true client community with her. And oh yeah, she's up to about $200 million in AUM in just that short amount of time. Today, she's going to share with us how she did it and why the risk was worth it. Let's dive in. So Lauren, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I am so thrilled to talk with you because I talk with so many advisors who are considering the move out of an RIA or out of any really captive firm. And you spent about a decade at a leading RIA, but something kind of shifted. What happened that made you start asking maybe the bigger questions?
A massive shift in culture that became impactful after 2018, and then the 2020 debacle kind of secured the chaos. Following the second recap, there was a total replacement of leadership. And with that, a new culture came along. So we went from being, the best of the best boutique firm in Sacramento to this massive corporate entity nationwide. And so it just didn't feel right anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like it dramatically shifted in that process, and that the firm you joined wasn't the firm it was anymore.
Yeah, so it'd be like getting married, right? So you meet a guy, you date for a while, 5 years later you get married, and then 5 years after that, all of a sudden they're a different human, and you're like, wait a second, I didn't sign up for this.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I was. The marriage was great when it was great. And when my partner shifted so dramatically from who we were to begin with, it made me question everything.
Yeah, it would. It makes you feel very unsettled, and you almost are like, how did we get to this point? Whether that's in a marriage or it's in a working relationship, I can think of that from my corporate background too. When you were at the RIA in particular, though, you were leading a really big business. You had 300 million or so in AUM, and you walked away. That had to have been really hard emotionally, professionally. What helped you during that time?
I have a motto that I like to repeat to myself, which is past record of success is a good indicator of future success.
Oh, I love how you took that little compliance line and shifted it.
Yeah. And so, I built the original book of business from 0 to 300 million in less than a decade. So it was faster than the majority of the advisors. The only people who had larger books of business than I did were people who were there a decade before myself, right? And I found myself at the end of my career because I started looking around and seeing the compression on the books of businesses. And I noticed right at that 300 million to 400 million mark, you're kind of eking out with some net new assets after distribution, but not much. And once you hit that 400 million mark, unless you continue hitting the ground running, you are definitely negative net new assets. And so I knew that I had kind of reached the top of what I could do on my own. And for a few years there, I advocated to build a team that I could work with as lead advisor and continue my growth trajectory. However, that kind of fell on deaf ears for 3 years. And eventually I found myself in burnout territory.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of people that can feel that way after that point, right? Because I can think about systems that are not really intended to be running a $300 million book of business. You can think about, obviously, the inability to get a team. Was it that you couldn't get the resources, the team assigned to you? Is it that they really weren't willing to support you in that way?
Not necessarily. At the time, we became a mergers and acquisitions company, and we were merging in other practices. My leader, who raised me, needed to step back in his career, and rightfully so. He did a great job mentoring and growing our organization, and he was definitely at the helm during, the best 7 years of my career, for sure. When we had one particular merger occur, another organization stepped in and we needed to assign new leadership. So they brought all of us that could be potential leaders into a room. And I was like, no, not me. Which was probably, things probably would have been different had I taken that on. But I was like in I was like in those years of things where I was bringing in 3 million, 4 million a month. I was getting all referrals, growing my book of business that way. I had stopped taking leads from the company. So I was kind of hitting my stride in terms of growing my own business. And so we ended up having some people step up that went to centralize everything. And through all these changes, there was a lot of inconsistency in personnel. And then I do believe with private equity stepping in, the private equity team probably also had to stay in some human capital extraction. Mm-hmm. And so I had 4 associate advisors and 4 managers within the span of 14 months. Yeah.
That's harsh. A lot. That's a lot. Harsh. That's a lot of change. And then having to learn all of those new people, meanwhile, keeping a very large book of business and client set happy.
Well, I think it's just the lack of consistency that's making this new phase of working at a registered investment advisor hard. Is because in order to grow a truly client-first business, you need consistency. You need people in your team in their spots, right? Because when I throw the ball and somebody else hits the ball, somebody's got to be out there to catch it. Yeah. And when you don't have people in their places, it makes it really hard to get things done efficiently and accurately.
Yeah, definitely. So all of that was happening and you've decided, or you start to maybe peek your head up a little bit to say, what else is out there? What did that look like for you?
It didn't look like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't that. No, it wasn't that at all. I'm a very loyal person. And so when I started seeing the problems, I would go back to my Excel document and my PowerPoint and I'd write down the problem and I'd pontificate on the problem. And then I would come up with a solution and I would then present that solution to the parties that, needed to make a decision. And when I noticed the problems really getting out of hand, I would take it to management and leadership, just all the way up the chain. Mm-hmm. And then it became like the solutions never got implemented.
So that added to your frustration.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you're trying to run a business within a business and you cannot get ample resources to run your book of business.
Now, you were feeling like it was your business. Did they feel like it was your business?
No, and I think that's a ideology or philosophy that I have as a result of coming out of a protocol firm, right? So I was raised in a protocol environment where the client-advisor relationship came first. Yeah. And I started in the industry right after 2004. It was 2005. And if you remember back in 2004, protocol came about between Smith Barney, UBS, and Merrill Lynch because advisors were starting to break away en masse and the legal disputes were dragging on. They were getting extremely expensive. And so my career trajectory started right after protocol kicked off. And I kind of moved around the nation. I was in Florida, I was in Hawaii, and then I was in California. And during that time frame when I was in Hawaii, the market, we had the Great Recession, the market tanked. And that kicked off a spur of transitions. And so all I had ever known was that it was absolutely normal for advisors to pick up their businesses and move to another company. That's all I had ever known. I happened to find myself in a space in 2011 when I was 30 years old. I was trying to become an advisor after 8 years in the industry, and I was offered 4 jobs at one time. And so I had to analyze each of those positions. And at the time, I had a 5-year-old daughter. I needed to be able to feed her. So I took the one that had the salary. But I didn't understand the implications of that later on, which is like, I think early I wasn't as prone to be sensitive in reading and interpreting the contractual language. And I didn't even know that I needed to be because of my protocol background.
Yeah.
It was normal for advisors to move.
Oh, that is super interesting. And so as a result, you just didn't even know to read, because I look at and see some terrible contracts these days. BDs, RAs, both, right? It happens on all sides of the whatever channel that you're in. But the contracts are atrocious, and it's very hard to not sign them because you're like, I want this job. I like this company. I like this firm. I like what they're doing. I believe in it. I can see myself here. And then you read the contract language and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll sign it.
That is the first marriage.
You're right. You're right.
That is definitely the first marriage. You have high hopes in the first marriage. You're like, this is going to work out. Things look really good. This place is great. And then you realize that, like, if you take a little time to write that prenuptial agreement, you can protect all of your assets. You can ensure a smooth transition before culture change occurs.
Oh my gosh, you are so right. We go into it with such hope. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you go into it with like some sort of like almost being a novice, or
I was gonna say blind trust.
Yeah, blind trust. You don't know that organization. You're dating that organization, and you're trying to marry them after your first like coffee date, right?
Right.
And so that's where, when this whole process started, I did not know that I was transitioning to a new company. I was searching for happiness, and I was cold calling advisors at the top 20 RIAs to try to figure out what was happening in this industry right now. I was like, what is going on here? And is this happening across the board? And so when I started talking to other advisors, I realized that the happiest were those who were independent and somewhat removed from the things that occur on the leadership side, right?
Yeah.
And so naturally that made me start really paying attention to contracts, because I think it was TJ at Dynasty. He was one of the first people I talked to that was an actual recruiter on behalf of a firm. And he said, oh, well, when you're ready to leave, we'll help you unplug. You just have to let us know. And I was like, wait, that's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then come to find out, like, RFG does that. And then New Edge does that. And like now there's this whole host of other registered investment advisors that have caught on to the fact that the elite second generation advisor wants the autonomy and the ability to leave if their clients are no longer getting served in the way they see fit.
That's right. And where they don't see the opportunity for growth personally. Because one of the things I've seen a lot has been that elite second generation advisor is part of a boutique firm that is now selling to an aggregator that aggregator makes that lead advisor part of the corporate entity.
Mm-hmm.
And now that person is like, wait a minute, I just lost my career path. I thought I was going to buy this book of business or whatever, and now can't.
I've seen that a lot amongst our generation. I think that's where all of us that are, about 40 years old with about 20 years in the industry probably look at what's going on here and going, okay, cool. We just got cut out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now we have to forge that path ourselves. And that means taking the risk of leaving a firm to go somewhere else.
And really going somewhere else and maybe starting over completely. I mean, that can be traumatic alone, but how did you get comfortable with making that as the decision? Because you were 300 million plus in AUA or AUM. How did you sort of plan for, how much can I take with? What do I think is going to happen? What did that look like?
So I was very fortunate because there were a lot of advisors exiting within the 18 months before I left.
Yeah.
And at that time in our advisor meetings, they were putting the outflows that were going with those advisors on the reporting they did for us. And so there was another advisor similar size to my book of business. And I was able to see those numbers and work off of those numbers, right? And
that's amazing.
Then I took a statistical analysis and I created a mid, a min, and a max. And so I put my minimum at what I needed to recreate my income, which was only $45 million. So it made it a very small hurdle to pass.
Yeah.
I put my mid at the 50% level, which was 150,000 or 150 mil. And then I put my max at 300 million. And I knew that was like absolute stretch goal because I don't even think I wanted that. I still don't think I want that to be my own case.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to go back to where I was because it was a very overwhelming place to be, and there were bombs going off daily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm good with the 150 million range. And now we're up to 200, almost 200 million. So it's like, we hit that mid-level, what we expected. And it's been really good. I can't complain about it.
No. And because you co-founded Prosper Plan in April of 2024.
Yeah.
So you have very far exceeded what you needed, right, to replace your corporate income, or I say corporate, but your former income.
Right.
And you've grown so fast since. What do you see as like the vision now for your firm?
We are the best financial planning firm in Sacramento.
Love it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we're here to take care of people. And we get to manage the cost of our practice. And that means we can keep our fee where we're happy with our clients. And we show up each day and I don't know, we're just happy. Like, you just show up, you work in your office, and then you go home and there's like no drama, like no VPs, no managers call me.
Isn't that amazing?
Good.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
That's how I feel after exiting corporate too. Because I spent 25 years in the corporate, so I had always had leaders. I can remember being at one firm and they did reviews on a trimesterly basis plus your annual review. So 4 times a year, your bosses were telling you if you were good or bad. And while on one hand, that's fine, right? You're getting feedback all the time. On the other hand, when you exit that environment, you realize how like burdensome that actually was. When you get unshackled from other people judging your performance and your clients being the judge of your performance and your own revenues and profitability being the judge of your performance, it's very freeing.
There's a lot of freedom on this side in general. And it's not even, to me, I don't necessarily care about revenue anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't it doesn't matter as much as it did when I was producing 3.4 million for a company a year. It's enough plus to support all of the things and people that I care about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think for so many of us, well, and back then too, revenue was probably something they put on the board and were showing you guys or showing the AUM or something. Did you have metrics like that they publicized?
Leaderboards on
Leaderboards.
what was bought in each month and by whom and who had the most net new assets and who,
Yeah.
the closing rates and stuff like that. So there was definitely sales competitions occurring.
Yeah.
So I think that was, probably what drives you to focus on revenue all the time. Because in the independent world, let's say you're getting 85% of your revenue.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a good job of running your business pretty lean and being efficient with your team members and the technology that you use, it's not very expensive to run this business.
That's right. That's right.
I think it's 7% on top of what I pay the registered investment advisor for their portion of the work, which is providing the compliance, the investment management team, the back office support, the trading desk. It's actually a pretty killer setup. But it's you don't have to fight for revenue or struggle for assets in the independent space.
Oh, I love that. Given that revenue and and especially as you said, I mean, you're running a good business, you're running a lean business too, and I can hear it that you're reasonably careful about how you look at the numbers, and you're running it like a real business, of course. What is driving you to the growth that you have in the future? Is it just because, gosh, this business is coming into you and you like the people? I know for me, I like the people I'm working with, and I like to take them on. So I just am like, okay, if I'm bringing in this many clients or these types of clients, I need to figure out how to serve them. So I need to hire to help serve them well. But I just like to say yes.
Yeah, I think that's how it is for me too. I like to be of service to people. And I love, these clients that have followed me, they did it by standing up themselves and following me. And so these people are my community. They're my heart. I love them. I work with the majority of my clients. I work with them. I work with their kids if they have them. I have accounts for their grandkids. Like, I'm taking care of people that span across multiple generations. And I feel like this is my community. Like this is my social outlet. This is my creative outlet. This is my profession. And I just really love what I do. And I'm so glad to exit that extreme burnout that I was dealing with and be able to come to life again and set that fire in my soul again about work and about growing and about building something really beautiful for the future.
Oh, I love it that you use the words come to life again. I love that for you.
I love it for me too. I love it for everybody here.
Yeah, that's what we want for everybody to feel. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You made some really interesting choices because at the size that you were at, you could have just gone and started your own RIA from scratch. I mean, you probably weren't exactly sure what was going to come with you, but you could have gone that route. And instead, you joined a partner. You joined New Edge. And I'm a big fan of New Edge. But how did you decide on them? And why did you join a partner instead of just going all the way to your own RIA?
The reality is that as much as I like being independent, I love big firm resources. I love having a retirement plan services division. I love having a family office attached to us. And with those resources, I'm able to extend them to all of our clients. So it's been the tech stack's amazing. We have Orion, which is amazing. We can sleeve portfolios.
Yes.
I love it. I love peppering in, portfolios into other portfolios just to get a little bit more growth out of it without increasing risk much. I just adore it. We chose not to start our own RIA because we knew what we didn't want to do. I don't want to bill accounts. I don't want to do the trading. I don't want to be the investment management team. I don't want to be the compliance team. And I don't want to sit and find all of the people to do these roles. And so when the New Edge offering came in, we were looking at Dynasty. We were looking at PAG, PAG. They're number 4 on the RIA list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Private Advisor Group.
Private Advisor Group. That's what it is. And then we were looking at New Edge. And we were kind of running the EBITDA models, right? So Dynasty helps you create your own RIA.
Yeah.
And they have a fee to start business with them. They have a lot of ongoing tech fees. The EBITDA models just were not turning out as favorable under the Dynasty model. When we ran it for the New Edge model, it made a lot more sense. And the people at New Edge were pretty awesome. Like going into those first few meetings with them, they did their discovery and then they had their whole presentation. And then we met each of the department leads. And Eric, the recruiter here in San Francisco, he was just a really good guy. Like I just really enjoyed the experience of dealing with this team. Mm-hmm. And then David, who's out of Dave Semetko out of Texas. Yeah. He's from my hometown. Like these people are all from Texas and New Orleans on the New Edge Advisor side. So I felt like I was at home. I had found people that are literally part of my cultural background. Yeah. And so it was a really good fit. And then I got to know Alex Goss, and Alex Goss had a similar background with, I don't want to get this wrong, but A.G. Edwards became Wells Fargo advisors. He went Wells Fargo independent side, realized he had the same compliance person. It's like, get me out of here. And so like what I really love about Alex's ideology is, he believes truly in that advisor-client relationship comes first above all else.
Yeah. Yeah. I love New Edge. I have a client joining them later this year is the plan. Mm-hmm. So really excited for her to join the team and the group there. So I can't wait to introduce you when the time is right. For sure.
She's got to come join our women's group.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was a key reason that she chose them as well.
Yeah.
When awesome. I think about the changeover, what was the hardest part of starting new with New Edge? Was it the mental side? Was it sort of the trauma of leaving? Was it the paperwork? What was the hardest thing, you think?
The paperwork was not hard. The mental side was a little bit hard. I think it was more of the earth-scorching techniques that were used to keep my clients at the other firm.
Earth-scorching. Okay.
Earth-scorching. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds ominous. And dark.
It was ominous.
Fiery.
Traumatic. It ended up working out, though. They had sent out this video that's like, Lauren has abruptly left. And I was like, I don't know how abrupt it is after 3 years of even literally saying I'm not going to be able to be here anymore. Yeah. But that video going out was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because I had all these clients at once, coming to my LinkedIn, going to my Facebook, calling my cell phone, calling our work phone. It was so many people reached out at one time that I could barely keep up.
And you're okay, I'm going to be fine. My community is showing up for me.
My community did. They rallied. I was like, yes, this is awesome. And it's interesting because it's some of those moments that feel like they're the worst thing that could ever happen to you turn out to be the best thing. Right?
Oh, don't they though? Yes. Yes.
The divorce is never a bad thing. I'll tell you that right now. Divorce is never a bad thing.
Whether it's work or home life, when it's needed, it's needed.
Amen.
It is needed. Yeah. You are so far past launch now. I mean, you're a year and a half in, a little bit more. Are you finding your ambition for the new firm changing at all? I will say mine has.
Yeah,
Or do you set an ambition, or is it just like, I'm going to just keep doing what I need to do? And oh,
I
yeah, that's driving a lot of success.
I think that we're just builders,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been lucky through like the fourth round of layoffs. We were able to pick up our teammate Sean Harvey, and he has been on a mission to get content in the world and get awards on our way. And we're building this website, SEO powered website. We're going to start working on digital lead flow. We're still well in the building phase of this infrastructure to support the future. And I don't really know what it's going to look like or where it's going to go. And I don't really care as long as my clients are happy and served well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm just going to keep building until we're not anymore.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I think for my business, I originally started as, okay, I'm going to do this. I want to provide great service to people I know and people I didn't know at the time too. But I want to do what for them what I thought they needed. I didn't think they needed traditional recruiting, making a introduction and departing. I felt like people needed a lot more than that, and I wanted to provide that higher level of service. But it's been interesting. At first, it was just about, okay, I'm going to replace this corporate income. Now it's like, oh my gosh, this is so needed in the world. People are enjoying what I'm delivering. Oh, okay, I guess I'm building a company here. Now what is that going to look like? How do I continue to keep its personality and personal touch and depth, but also scaling for the demand that we're having?
So we're hiring our sixth person soon. And I am hiring this person to do nothing but talk to people on the phone all day. So all future clients, all clients, scheduling appointments, helping future clients feel comfortable with what we're doing here, making sure they're following our processes and procedures, but most importantly, like just taking care of those relationships and those people. And so I'm very excited to be adding like this nurturing role to our business.
Do you have a special title for it? I wonder.
I don't know yet. So
I like that nurture word.
Yeah, she's going to be like the professional nurturer.
Love it. Love that. Well, and I think like that must come. Does that come from you, like as a person? You're like, this is what people want. They want to feel that security that comes with nurture. They maybe want to feel a little cared for, a little mommed,
I
if you
think
will.
it's what makes women advisors, like
Amazing.
powerful in our careers, amazing in
Yeah.
our careers. Is like we have a nature, like a part of our nature that is made to nurture other humans and take care of other humans. And being that we are Prosper Plan, I get to ensure that we have other people on the team doing that full time as their job.
Right. I love it that you can identify that that's a need for your clients. It's a need for you guys as a firm. And you're able to, like in the independent world, you get to just go hire it. There's nobody telling you no. You
I
just
know.
make what their job is. And it's what you think is the right thing.
I know that's the great thing about it. Like you don't
It
have to
sounds
put
so
out
revolutionary.
It's amazing. That's what I'm saying. Like I really feel like these corporate RIAs are going to have, some big issues with our second generation, because this second generation millennials, we're all millennials now. We're entrepreneurial. Like we're creative. We've grown up with the internet. We're now growing up with AI. Like we're creators. And I think that should make the corporate RA scared, or at least revisit their contracts.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, right? Because I think it's how do you enable those creators to create and then also retain those assets. But as a corporate RIA, you've got to really treat your people well. And I see a lot of pay scales that are really, really paltry at the individual advisor level.
Well, I think there's more to it than that. I mean, when I was searching for the advisor partner before, the RA partner, to our advisory team before we left, I kind of set out the 4 C's model. So you're looking for a diamond in the rough. You want to judge it by the 4 C's, which is compliance, client experience, compensation model, and culture. And so the compensation model shouldn't be discounted. For a second generation advisor who's elite, who has grown a book of business, and they're looking to transition, like that is going to be a big portion of what draws them towards a firm. And then on the contractual side of that, when you do give these 60-day quits, which is like, if you decide you don't want to be here, you can leave, just give us 60 days notice, and then you can begin your transition. It gives you the ability to speak openly, and it gives you the ability to have that freedom and know that you're safe there. And for me, that was huge, was the fact that I can leave makes me not want to leave.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's my choice. Like, I choose to show up here. I choose to show up at New Edge. I choose to be part of that culture.
And as a entrepreneurial minded person, and I think social is creating even more focus on entrepreneurship maybe than the past. I think my generation in particular, raised up, we were kind of pushed into corporate roles, right? Go get the big corporate job and, the fancy suit and the briefcase and climb that ladder. And now I see so many entrepreneurs, influencers, et cetera, on social that it's like, oh, what could I create that creates income for me and for my family? It's just a switch in maybe how people are thinking about it.
Well, I think it has to do with the burnout nature. I mean, when you go back and you kind of look at what do you have to do to keep shareholders fed, you have to keep expenses low, which means not replacing people when they leave or getting rid of people in general, because your human resources are typically the highest expense for any business, right? And so then you have more work fall on the shoulders of the people that are remaining. So eventually the burnout catches up. But there's an interesting fact that I've been reading, and it's like the average age of a business owner is 42 years old, like when they start their business.
Really?
Yeah. And I think there's a pretty dramatic shift that happens. Like you're in better financial condition, right? So you can actually afford to take risks. You have experience that can be turned into money, so you can start a business and sell that experience. And just having the life experience of going through like the peaks and valleys, right? This trauma happened, this divorce happened, this happened, and I'm still okay. Like I'm still here.
Making it through it. That's right.
Yeah. You're just like, you become more resilient in your 40s.
I agree with that fully. And I think then that resilience, to your point, you can take those risks. You can do things that maybe you weren't planning for, but which are absolutely incredible. That's super, super, super interesting that the average age is 42. I'm thinking through my clients that I have right now. And I have them all over the board, but the ones who are moving significant businesses and really are planning for growth are definitely in that age range. They're in those 40s.
Yep.
Yeah. Super fascinating. Time. It is for sure. Okay. We are getting near the end of time. I have a few kind of quick hit questions for you. I always like to kind of close out a podcast episode with these.
Okay.
What is one belief that you've outgrown as a founder?
One belief that I've outgrown?
That you've outgrown. Yeah.
Oh, I've probably outgrown a lot of beliefs that it has to be one way.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have to be one way. It doesn't have to end up one way. Like I can be in here and just show up and build, and it's still going to be a beautiful house at some point in time.
Oh, I love that. What is one tool or resource that's helped you serve your clients better now that you're at Prosper Plan?
Jump app.
Jump. Oh yeah, Jump AI. Absolutely
Jump AI.
Incredible.
Time saving. It's doing all my charting for me. Like all of my financial planning stuff, I've learned how to get it to interact with my right capital and update some of the inputs for me. I have it sending all my action items to my operations team and administrative assistant. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is a very huge time saver. What is a piece of advice that you would give to an advisor who's thinking about breaking away, going independent?
It would depend on how many assets they have under management.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same across the board.
Yeah.
But
I think it's interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and your compensation model. So like if your compensation model is such that you can have like 1/7 of the clients and still get paid the same, it probably makes sense to move on.
Yes.
If you need somebody to book appointments for you and help you get those business closed and you just want a service, like it might not be a great fit for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think those are really smart ways to look at it. I love your minimum, medium, and the max approach for deciding what you need to bring, and really that minimum being what do you need to bring in order to replace your current income. I think that's
same
smart.
thing you did whenever you were starting up. Like, I just need to replace the current income and I'll be okay.
Exactly. What's a personal ritual that helps you lead clearly, operate clearly?
So we have what are called morning cuddles at Prosper Plan. And when we start together, we serve better. So every morning, my director of client service and I get together and we talk about pressing tasks. We make sure that which action items need to be taken care of, or like prioritize our action items for the day. And we just try to get on the same page with client communications that need to happen. And so like most of the times things go really smooth because we're taking 30 minutes a day to communicate about what needs to happen that day.
That's great. You know, we always called those in corporate land, those were our daily stand-ups. I like it that you gave it a softer name. I love that for you.
Morning huddle. They call them pass-offs in the military. They do a pass down in the medical field. So like you can take all of those and just make it the morning cuddle.
I love it. This was so great, Lauren. I'm so grateful for having you on. One last question I ask every guest. Okay. What is one way that you are living an off-script life today?
One way that I'm living an off-script life today? What if I am not? What if I'm just going to go home and pick up my daughter and do the same thing I do every night? Would that be okay?
Of course. Yes.
I'm going to go play with my 5-month-old.
Oh, that is the cutest little age, too. I love that.
I know. She's so happy.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights today, your experience, your story. I'm really grateful.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad we finally got the chance to connect.
Yes. And for those listening, please remember this isn't just a podcast. This is your playbook for living boldly and building a life that goes off script. Until next time.